Hey you guys, Charlie here. Welcome back to Conquering Kerbal Space Program. I'm having a bit of a mod problem. I went ahead and I updated all the mods that needed updates, and for whatever reason, Contract Configurator, the next version, 1.15.4, if I go to this version and I also update these contract packs to reflect that version, and I actually have to go and get the RemoteTech contract pack. I actually have to go and get that from GitHub directly because the CCAN isn't updated yet. But if I go and I update all these mods, some people might like it, but other people, it's definitely not in the character of the game. Something happens with the contracts. The first thing that happens is that my account of money drops by about $1 million, which is not very favorable. And the reason why it does that is because I instantly fail the Eve network. Set up a network on Eve, and I also instantly fail the one about Erlem as well. So RemoteTech contract packs, for whatever reason, it just assumes that it's not accepted yet, but the game, my save file says it is, so it just says I failed it. But it offers it to me again. In fact, it not only does it offer me those two contracts again right away for the exact same advance, so I can instantly get the money that I lost back, but it also offers me like every other contract for RemoteTech, like right now. You know, there's a contract for Duna and Moho, and there's contracts for all of the outer planets like Sarnus. There's ones for Jewel, there's ones for Drez, there's one for Plock, there's ones for like all of them. Never expire. Now I'm not sure if they are supposed to expire. I think they did before. I remember a time limit to accept the one for Erlem before. So I'm not entirely sure. I don't know what happened. But on top of all of that, it also gives me contracts for like every possible I literally get available to me about 50 contracts that I can accept, and none of them expire. None of them ever go away. No matter how many, I zoomed ahead a month, and all of them are still there, just as they were before, with timers that just reset. It gets to 0 seconds and then it just resets. So something is going on with contracts. I'm currently booting the game right now in my backup folder, which is the folder that I want to say that I actually updated some mods in this backup folder. Slap of the hand, bad chart. I want to say I did update mods in the backup or before I made. But one thing I didn't update was the contract configurators and stuff. So if we take a look at my KSP add-on version checker, and this is how long it takes to load the game. You guys see how long it takes to load the game. I know that the Mark IV system has an update to 2.2. It goes to 2.2.1. I have the intention to update this. The only thing that's changed in here, as far as I know, is that the fuel tanks for the SSTO no longer hold the same, whether or not they're smaller or large. The small and large tanks used to hold, or the small and large cargo bays, used to hold the exact same amount of fuel, which is a bug. This fixes it, but I haven't updated it yet. I also have to update Capcom, which I'm not going to do just yet. That's just a really, really small point update. And then the RemoteTech contract packs, the Clever Stats contract packs, and the contract configurator. If I update these three, that's when all that stuff happens. So I'm booting it right now, and it looks like I still have to update Toolbar and USI Tools. So thankfully, this looks like maybe I didn't update them yet. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. But I'm hoping that by booting the game in the backup folder, I can get in and it won't be messed up. And then I guess I can just keep testing. I'll just keep the mods exactly as they are without updating them, and I will just keep testing to see whether or not stuff actually does get messed up. So anyway, once this completely loads, we'll get into the game, and you can check it out, take a look. Okay, we're in the boot screen now, or the menu screen. We'll go to resume save, and you can see that we have funds of 3.644. That's the amount of funds we have, 3.644 million. Okay, so let's go ahead and load This is enough, by the way, to complete our space station around Kerbin. Pretty pumped about that. Let's go ahead and load this and see if we load with about 2.7 instead, because it does. It takes like just under 1 million away from me if this is bugged. So let's cross our fingers and hope that it isn't. Okay, we're back, and yeah, as you can see, we have 2.7 million in the bank. And if I come down here, it's going to say that we failed the contract to create a network for Eve, and we also failed the one to create a network for Earlham, and it removes from my account the advances that I was given. But if I go into the contract list, you can see this is what's offered. Okay, this is just the offered list, and like you can see that we're offered a ton of contracts. Every single contract for RemoteTech is unlocked and available for us to accept. So, I mean, from all the outer planets, your Sarnus, to the regular stock planets, Duna, Drez, create one for Ike. There's actually 2. Oh, this is an telemetry scan for Duna. Okay. So, like, there's all sorts of these contracts. And what should be there, the only thing that was there when I stopped playing last time was this one, which I was pretty happy about. It says send a crew to the space station that's around Kerbin. At least 2 Kerbals, dock with the PISS initial, and it's going to pay me 90,000, which is nice, but it's not. I mean, like, there's all these different contracts that were not here before. And there's a ton of them, and they don't expire at all. So, like, watch, I'll go to, like, this one here, like, communication satellite for every planet, right? Now, this is just make a satellite that can point at different planets. That's all this is. And it wants me to do it with a new vessel. Yeah, a couple of new vessels, which is just silly. I shouldn't need to do that. But anyway, I want to show you this, though. Like, if I go to create a network for Eve. Okay, it says it expires in 4 days. Okay? So, let's go 4 days. Okay. Now I get to 4 days, and it says 0 seconds left. But it's still available to click, as is the rest of them. Right? None of these have been getting rid of. Well, this one still has 3 hours for whatever reason, so let's go ahead and skip ahead 3 hours for that one. And it's been replaced by another one already. So I don't know what to do about this, guys. The RemoteTech contracts do not expire. I'm not sure if they're supposed to. I'm pretty sure they were before. When we accepted the Earlham one before, I was thinking I may have mentioned it in the video somewhere. I think I had like 4 hours left to choose whether or not I wanted to do it or not. So I've got to try to figure out what's up with this. And I'm not entirely sure what I can do about it because I think it's a mod conflict. And it's going to be a hard conflict to figure out and get going with because I this is my backup folder. Like I don't know what mods I updated in this folder, but I apparently did. It's just a CCAN mix-up. I chose the wrong install. So I guess I'll just try and figure this out. I don't want to start this way. I don't want to keep going with this. I want it to be like it was, you know. So I guess I'll try and figure things out, and then I'll just continue this video. Okay, guys. So I'm looking at the forums here, and it looks like that contract configurator 1.15.3, the update right here that Nightingale has put out, it looks like the new mission control layout is actually something that is a feature. It is intended to be this way. It says, now all contracts that are eligible are available all the time. Players are no longer at the mercy of the RNG to get the contracts they want. Also, can view the details of what contracts are not yet available and what it takes to make them available. There's also a contract generation overhaul in that the contract generation system for it no longer generates contracts in flight. So in other words, there's no garbage collection that has to go through that, and no stutters is what it says. So this is interesting, and I've already, unfortunately, this contract configurator is already updated in both my backup folder and my main folder. So this is going to have to be something I just take and do. I'm not entirely sure why the contract kind of kicked me out and why it is not, why I failed it, essentially. But because it's available again, I suppose that's probably okay. There is an outstanding issue regarding repeat contracts, though, so I'm going to have to maybe... I'm not sure I like this. I'm not sure. I kind of liked the RNG telling me. It was almost like, there's other organizations or other companies or whatever on the planet Kerbin, and it was almost as if they were, I guess in a way, like contracting me to do work. And it was like I wouldn't have all of this stuff available that I could do. It would be like somebody has to come and ask me to do it, and this is how much I'm going to pay you for it. I don't have that anymore. It's going to be just all available all the time. I'm wondering if there's a toggle to turn that off. I don't know. But apparently this is an actual feature. This right here tells me, right here, it tells me that this is actually a feature of this. Added sort key for contract type and contract group nodes. Celestial body index method to get global index of body for sorting. Yeah, I don't know. That's what it says. And if I go to the top of the thread and I go to the very last page, scroll down to the bottom, the latest update, which was posted 1 minute ago. I guess I was actually looking for this other one that's up here, but okay, I guess it's 1 minute ago. This thing moves fast. It says if you cancel or decline a contract from anything other than the All tab, an exception is thrown. That messes up commission control, and stuff doesn't get refreshed properly, which can allow contracts that should be removed from the list to stick around, which shows up as duplicates. So the new version is here. Updated agent icons, fixed issue introduced with this. Okay. Yep. And right here, fixed exemption with declining and canceling contracts and mission control. So I think I need to update to this version that was released 1 minute ago, I guess. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and click that. This is in the GitHub. So go ahead and click that. Go ahead and download that. And we'll see if that works. Now, I'm hesitant to do this. I kind of think I want to... This right here... declining or canceling. Does that mean failing? Because I do want the Eve and Earlham to show up. So if this fix here makes my failure not show up again for me to to accept, then that's a problem too. But I guess I'll just have to experiment with this and try to get this. Wow. Okay. Mod updates, guys. Mod updates. Contract configurator 1.15.5. I guess we'll give that a try. Okay, guys, we're back in the screen here, the menu screen here. Let's go ahead and go back to resume saved, and you can see 3.651 million. I'm not sure why these two numbers are different. I don't know. But anyway, here we go. Okay, so we're back in the KSC, and would you look at that? 3.6 million. But all these are here, and I think the reason why this was 3.6, but before when I first started the video, you probably saw 3.644, and that was because we had the old contracts. I have already went ahead and, if I remember correctly anyway, I already went ahead in this folder and accepted the Eve and Earlham contracts here and here. So these are still accepted, and after accepting those, it went ahead and gave me the advances for those things. So that's it. We have all these things offered to us now, which is, I don't know, kind of weird. I don't know if I like it, but I mean, it is what it is. We don't have to necessarily, I guess, wait. If I take a look at mission control, we can see that contract configurator has added these tabs, has added an additional tab here and stuff. And if I go to, is it these little arrows? Yeah, see these little arrows. So let's say RemoteTech, right? RemoteTech is being treated as like a folder of contracts. So when I click this, I can see all these different contracts that are available and the prestige that goes along with them. And for instance, create a network for Gilly, that's not available. Why is it not available? Well, because I have to have between 70 and 100% remote tech coverage of Kerbin, which I have that met. But I also have to have 70 to 100% remote tech coverage for Eve, which is not met. And so this contract does not become available until after I've already created a network for Eve. So at least I get a little bit of better view as to how the game is sort of giving me contracts. And these are all the different contract packs I have and how many different things are offered by them. And I get to sort of see, I get to see things. So for bases and stations, for example, if I click this, I can see that the two that are accepted, or two that are available, I guess, are the ones that are green are the ones I've accepted. The ones that are yellow are the ones that are available. I think that's how that works. Yeah, Eve, Earlham are green. Okay, good. So send crew to the PISS initial. That's good. Now I can't do a supply run to the base. I can't do a supply run to the space station. Why not? Because I don't have a station with crew. Okay, so once I have a station with crew, I can accept this contract to take supplies to the space station. I think that's how this is working. Maybe this is better. I don't know. I mean, I like the details. I do wish that it would still not give me like all of them available all the time. I really wish my available list wasn't clouded with everything. But maybe it's okay. You know, maybe everything will be fine. I don't know. So, yeah. And then right here, so K files, for example, the contract pack for K files, we can see that we've already done atmospheric disturbances. So why hasn't strange things come up, right? Why hasn't this come up? Well, I have to have researched hypersonic flight in order to see this one. So now I can kind of see, I can kind of see that kind of stuff, which honestly is information that I shouldn't have. But it is what it is. We have it now. Contract configurator is required for the mods that I have, and having it updated now is no longer a choice. I guess I could have left all the old versions in place, but I didn't know this was going to happen to the new mod. Maybe I should have read the changelog. I don't know. But it is what it is. I can't go back. I don't have a backup that has a version before 1.152, which I think this is. Anyway, doesn't matter. So before this video becomes a just, hey, look at all my mod problems video, let's go ahead and do something. And on the nature of contracts, let's go ahead and send crew to the PISS initial. And we're going to do this. Oh, look at this. Now it says at least 3 Kerbals instead of 2. That's fine. I was going to send more than 3 anyway. We get 78,000 for completing this. And we're going to do it. And we're not just going to send crew. We're going to send up a whole module. And we're going to put that module on the space station. And I'm going to do this as a post-commentary thing because this is already taking a while. And we might have some frame rate issues. I don't know. So let's check out the VAB. Hey, you guys. Welcome to the VAB. This is what we're going to be sending up to space today. This is the AgroHab, or at least that's what I'm calling it, the AgroHab. And this assortment of modules, which I wanted it all to be like one big unit. I didn't want to dock it together and use a bunch of docking ports. I'm trying to save parts here. So basically, it's a $362,000 launch, and you will see why it's so expensive when we get up to space. But essentially, this is an agriculture and habitation section for the space station, which is going to be kind of helping us with both places for Kerbals to live and hang out, but also for life support resources and things like that. Our crew today is going to be Bartman Kerman. He's our pilot. He's going to be in the cupola module here. And we have Bill Kerman, our chief engineer. He's going to be in charge of the assembly process once we get to space. He's in charge. So everyone listen to Bill. And we also have Reagan Kerman and Jebdos Kerman, who are going to be our scientists. There's not a whole lot of science for them to do right now, so they're going to primarily focus on the life support stuff until we get the science equipment installed onto the station, which will be fairly soon after this anyway. At the top here, we have a fuel tank, which is going to store some monopropellant for us so we can maneuver in space. We're then going to get rid of this tank because we don't want it at the end. When we're all said and done and we're all docked to the station, we don't want this on here anymore. We want the cupola module to be able to open up and people to see space. Below that, we've got a habitation ring, and we'll go ahead and show you all these modules once we get into space. We've got, well, once we get docked anyway. I'm not going to mess with these modules until we're docked. Then we have our aeroponics module. The aeroponics module, at least with USI colonization, it works with the agricultural modules to produce life support resources like food and oxygen and converting carbon dioxide and things like that. And we've got 2 agricultural modules, which you'll see later on in a bit. And then we've got the Kerbitat with some reserve power and 2 seats. And we've got a workshop, which has some machinery in it, as well as some specialized parts for later. I have no idea what to use those parts for, but they're in here for later. And then we've got some material kits, and I'm not going to fill up the material kits storage because I think I'm going to actually break down this right before we dock. I'm going to break this part down, and we'll have those material kits that are broken down to store in here. Maybe there's enough room, maybe there's not. I really don't know how much material kits this stuff is worth. So maybe maybe it won't be enough to fill it. Maybe it'll be too much and we won't be able to store it all. I don't know, but it is what it is. You may have noticed, but well, maybe you didn't because my resources isn't open. But with the resources open, I can't talk today. We have 12,450 electric charge, and you may be like, trying to figure out where the hell that's coming from because we don't have any batteries installed. There's no batteries at all anywhere, and there's no solar panels, so we're not going to be able to regenerate electricity on this. And this charge is coming from the USI colonization modules, from these OKS modules, the aeroponics module, and like these parts are really nice. I really like this mod. It comes with built-in power storage, so the station's going to have a lot of power. It's going to have a lot of electric charge of it stored up. But it's also going to be using a lot of power, so it's going to need it, especially when it gets to the dark side of Kerbin. So anyway, let's go ahead and save, and we'll launch. Okay, we're here on the launch pad, and I'm probably going to have to do most of this as post-commentary because I'm pretty sure my family is going to be walking through the door any minute now. My family? Well, I mean, it's not my whole family, but it's my wife and my son. Okay, sorry, he's almost a year old. And it's still a little weird for me to say my family and things are coming home. It's just a little weird still. Okay, we're going to set the PISS initial as our target. And you see the yellow square around the station. If you're wondering why there's a yellow square around it anyway, it's because it is a target of a contract. And the contract is the one we're doing right now, where we send crew to the station. That is the contract we are looking to do in our huge list here, right here. Send crew to the station. We're going to be paid $78,000 for this, so it's going to cost us a little bit of money to do this, but that's to be expected. I'm sending stuff that I want to send. I'm not waiting for the contracts. So crew will be on board the station, and that's good. We'll just dock to the PISS initial, which I have to change the name for it. Get that initial out of there, and it'll be fine. Looks like also we won't have to launch in the night because we're almost in the daytime. So let's just time accelerate until the station is in the right position. And it looks like we're just barely going to have dawn. I'm going to say that's probably good. It looks like it's just barely, the sun's just barely getting ready to come out. That's nice. Okay, SAS on. It was already on. Thrusters all the way up, and let's punch it. Let's do this. And we progress now at 700% speed because I am very good, I guess, at predicting when my family is going to come home. Doors open, dogs barking, no chance in the world to record. So we got a couple of stages there that we're going to get rid of, the solid rocket boosters as well as the additional gas tanks that were on the side. And we're making our way up to the station. I have to say, I'm getting better at this whole rendezvousing with station thing. So this essentially brings us less than 4 kilometers away from the target at approach once I'm in orbit. So that's pretty good. The thing I'm not good at, though, is mission planning because this thing is very difficult to control. Probably would have been wise to place a reaction wheel near the back of the craft because having only the built-in reaction wheel of the cupola module makes this basically a monopropellant requirement to move anything at all with this craft. And that's a big deal because I don't actually have a whole lot of monopropellant. As you can see already, I'm less than half of my supply left. And eventually I get to the point where I have almost none left. So right there you can see it. I have less than 10 units of monopropellant left, and I get Bill out to head on up back to the set of the craft here because I want to kind of check out sort of this whole disassembling for material kits kind of thing. And I do have some storage, if you remember from the assembly process. I do have some ability, I guess, or some capacity to store additional material kits. So I just kind of wanted to test that out really quick, and I broke down a couple of fins to just check it out. You're also going to notice throughout this video, even though it's sped up and you may miss it, you're going to notice that I pause a lot, and it's because, well, I have a 1-year-old kid, and they're home now, so I have to pause and stop playing quite frequently to help out and do my duties, as you will. So once I get this velocity sort of zeroed out, I need to rotate the whole thing to fire the rocket to get towards the target because I don't have any monopropellant left, and it's becoming quickly obvious to me that this thing is kind of going to be roughly dead in space if I don't do something about it. Now, luckily, I am able to just barely get this thing turned to the point where I can get it close enough to the station to justify it being, you know, in a way, I guess, calling it parked. This is sped up like 900%. So the rotation on this thing is just flat out not happening. And once I'm out of monopropellant, then it really isn't happening. So I need to get my tug from the station. Once I'm close enough, I need to get the tug out and have the tug help me. So now that I am close enough to the station to do some quick changes, I refuel the tug, I make sure it's got adequate fuel supply as well as a full supply of monopropellant, because the tug's responsibility this time is not going to be to haul or bring in that whole vessel to the station. That's just not feasible. The tug's responsibility this time is simply acting as a refueler. It's going to pump monopropellant into that thing so that it can sort of maneuver itself. Initially, and as you'll see later on, very close to now, I don't know how long it takes because of the sped up video, but eventually you're going to see me try to mount myself or dock myself, or I guess grab the arm, if you will, use the arm to latch onto the back of this giant module and try to latch onto the back engine part. And I was really hoping that would work because then I could just use the engines that are built into the tug to help me push along too, and I could just, I felt like I'd have more control with that, but I wouldn't. At the same time, not just using the rocket engines, but also because the tug has a really good reaction wheel built into it, I'd be able to have a reaction wheel on both the front and the back, which would give me more control with the reaction wheels. This craft does not have any solar panels. It doesn't have any a spare battery, if you will. Like the battery that's in that module is in that module. So I need to do this as quickly as possible before I run out of electric charge, because at that point, I really do have to use the tug to do all the work, and I don't want to have to do that. But once that fails, once I'm basically not able to make that happen and realizing that the tug really has no purpose near this thing anymore, I have the tug basically on its way back to the station. And by the time I realize it, this thing's already 4 kilometers away. And I'm like, well, geez, like I don't want to have 2 crafts floating around in space. So I feel like, okay, I need to at least take care of the tug before I go back to the other ship. So I bring the tug all the way back to the station. And I get this thing docked, my second try. I'm apparently not good at this. Get it all docked back to the station again, and then go back to the AgroHab module so that I can control it. And finally, I'm like, cool, I can control it again. I have monopropellants. I do a quick bit of fuel shifting. I take the fuel from the very back tank and move it to the tank that's closer to the middle, just trying to help my center of mass be as close to the middle of the craft as possible. It's just not going to happen. So I get within 1 kilometer of the station. I finally manage to maneuver my way around and fire my engines to zero out this velocity, at least as close as possible to zeroing it out. And then I'm like, okay, well, with that being done, I can pretty much do all of this with monopropellant now. I don't need the back tanks anymore. So let's get Bill out and let's break him down. Well, the game won't let me do that. It says that it has child parts still on it. It has parts attached to it. I don't understand that, so I'm like, fine, I'll just decouple it, I'll just stage it, and that'll be fine. Well, my staging was not quite as I thought it was. Yeah, I staged the tank that's on the top of the ship. Now the tank that's on the top of this, that was my monopropellant supply. Pretty close to all of my monopropellant supply. I still have 10 built into the cupola module, so I have now 10 units of monopropellant, which I've had access disabled to because I didn't want it to drain from there. I wanted it to drain from the other tank. Well, at least it's a good thing I did that, because at least now I have some monopropellant, but not nearly enough to do what I need to do. You can see how quickly this vessel uses monopropellant. Even with these tiny little puffs, it's not doing enough of what I want, but I can at least get myself somewhat close to the station. So I'm working my way towards the station. I'm getting myself to the point where I'm pretty close and I'm confident that I'm, likely on target. Then I need to go ahead and slow myself down because I don't want to go too fast. And I've decided that to help me along this process, since I'm pretty much out of monopropellant now, once again, I'm going to need to use the tug again. So I get over to the tug, I decouple it, and this time it's a little easier because this time, since there is a clearly and easily accessible docking port senior available, I can actually just take the tug and dock to the front of this thing and then use the tug to do what I need to do. The tug also has a better reaction wheel. It has obviously a huge supply of monopropellant with it, so the whole craft can actually do some more monopropellant stuff now, and it's going to basically enable me to bring it in. This tug has been incredibly useful. I think you can see there's a huge just a huge utility value in having a good, solid, maybe even over-engineered tug near your station. You can do so much with it. It's becoming useful almost every single time. So I get my tug, I get it all worked to the point where I'm lined up somewhat with the docking port, and then I decide to grab below it because I still need to dock this module to the docking port. So I get the tug out of the way, I decouple everything again, but now that now that it's almost right there, and it has a full supply of monopropellant again, I can push it and get it to where it needs to be. So it'll eventually very crookedly make its way towards the docking node. But once the magnets take over, and I can use a little bit of my reaction wheels, a little bit of the monopropellant that's left in there, and kind of keep it stable, make sure those two little dash marks are lined up, and then dock it. So there we go. We're all docked and ready to go. Now at the last minute here, after I dock it, I realize, you know what, that tank and stuff over there, those fuel tanks and that engine, that's just gonna kind of float around in space. I bet I can break that stuff down. I'm confident that I can figure out a way to break that down. So I take my tug and I pull it all the way out there, or I push it all the way out there, and I grab that tank, and then I'm like, yep, all right, so let's transfer the fuel resources out of this, make sure we get all the resources out of it that we can. And then let's see if we can't bring this back to the station for disassembly. I feel like that's something that we should be able to do, and I should be able to do this with a lot of other space junk as well. Perhaps, hopefully anyway, space junk that isn't quite this big. And I'm also not going to make the same mistakes. You'll notice that I'm trying to fire my engines, and I left the twin bore on. The twin bore is an activated engine, so it keeps messing with me, and I don't realize it until now. So this whole time it's moving me every time I try to accelerate. So I'm like, okay, that's not what we want to do. So once I finally figured that out, it's time to burn my engines towards the station. Of course, I have this tug has its engines facing backwards as well as forwards, and I have the backwards facing ones right now. So I'm able to kind of move towards the station how I want with the engines how I want without having to rotate the craft. I can actually use it as more of a pulling mechanism instead of a pushing mechanism. So we get ourselves to the docking port. Of course, I'm not lined up at all. I'm not grabbing this very, very well, but I am able to eventually get this thing lined up and get it docked to the station. And once we do that, I'm noticing that now, after docking to the station with this additional weight on the side, this whole station is kind of wobbling all over the place. And I'm like, okay, fine. Let's get, I need to get Bill out there right now. Let's disassemble this right now before it rips my station apart. You can see it wobbling around. It lets me do the decoupler. The decoupler is not something that's hard to disassemble, but it still does not let me do the tank or the engine. And the station's going nuts right now. So I'm just like, screw it. I need to get this part off. So I detach it and I'm like, I'm just going to disassemble it in orbit. Well, that's when I figured out. Once it's in orbit and I'm able to see it rotating around me, I figure out that it's the tiny strut connectors that are still on there from when it was launched. Those tiny little strut connectors are considered to be child parts that are attached to it, and it won't let me disassemble the main component. So I got to get rid of all the strut connectors before I can do it. Once I do that, it lets me disassemble the engine, disassemble the tank, and it stores the material kits in the nearby container for them, which is the container that's right there on your screen, the little black one with the yellow. It says MKT on it. So there you go. The station is there. It's everything is fine. The tug is back and docked, and everything is normal. We have our modules all set up, and though after that, it's time to kind of open things up and check it out and see what it's all about. So we open up our habitation ring first, and it's a beautiful little habitation ring. It moves too. Like the part itself is a moving, animating part, which is just awesome. I just love that. After that, we open up the agricultural modules, which is where we're going to be growing our plants and hopefully generating some food and hopefully sort of using some of that carbon dioxide to help the plants while also having them emit oxygen to help us. So that kind of stuff will happen, but I can't actually run the life support systems yet. I can't do it yet because they use too much power. We're not able to generate enough power with the tiny little solar panels that we have. We're not able to generate enough power to offset what we're using. So even though they're installed and they're opened and they're deployed, I guess, even though that is a thing, it's just like, it's just not gonna happen yet. So I do need to get going on the solar panels. The part I want to install the solar panels on right now is still not attached to the station. So I think the next video we're going to be bringing up some of the science equipment, the cyclotrons, and those units, those cyclotrons, are where I'm going to want to mount my solar panels to. So anyway, guys, that's our station right now. This video was kind of an unorthodox one. It kind of started in a strange way. Sorry about that. I am actually thinking about starting another series. I want your feedback on this because it's like I don't have a whole lot of time to play games. So part of me feels like starting another series of another game, not Kerbal, but another game. Part of me feels like maybe that's not the best option, but like another part of me feels like maybe it would be interesting for some people who aren't necessarily into Kerbal or into Kerbal. I'm thinking of playing Prison Architect. It's been about 2 years since I've played it, and a lot of it has changed since then. I have about 100 or so hours into the game, like a couple of years ago, and I just found it was really fun to just to build things and be creative and try to like solve problems like that. It's a whole lot different game than what Kerbal Space Program is, but I'm also considering maybe not doing videos of Prison Architect necessarily, but instead doing them as live streams, because then I won't have to worry about the editing process later. But honestly, there's not a whole lot of editing with Kerbal. Like, the reason why Kerbal Space Program has to be edited so much is because it takes a long time. The frame rate slows down, and the loading screens take a while, and the booting up of the game takes a while. None of those problems exist with something like Prison Architect. Like, I can run that thing at like 200 frames per second, no matter how many people I have in my prison. So, anyway, that's my ideas. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If that's something you think I should explore, maybe having other games. Maybe not that game. If you want to see another game, maybe, I don't know, give me some ideas, I guess. I have that one, and I'm not really into buying new games at the moment. I'm not going to buy anything I don't have. So maybe I'll show a quick screenshot or a quick flash shot here of what I have in my Steam library. It's not a whole lot of stuff. Like I said, I'm kind of an adult here with jobs and responsibilities, but I hate it. I hate that part of my life. Anyway, let me know. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you want, if you think I've earned it, and I will see you next time.